Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fifth episode of the eighth series of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today, with us from the American East Coast, surfboard shaper Greg Geiselman. We discuss with him about shaping surfboard, surf, competition, innovation, and much more. Hello, Mr. Greg. Welcome to the show. Where are you today?
Well, I am in New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
So today we're gonna talk about many things. Of course, your career, Orion surfboards. But the first question I ask everybody on the show is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
Having fun.
It's as simple as that, right? But not a lot of people they do have fun while surfing nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people get stressed out and stuff, but it's supposed to be all about having fun. You know.
Supposed to be. We keep it like that, you know. We try to forget the problems and leave them on the beach, on the shore, and try to enjoy as much way as possible. So tell me a little bit more about you in the sense, of course, like almost 40 years of making surfboards. What were the key milestones that brought you where you are today?
That's a tough one. I would say. I mean, we've had so many things we've done. I'd say for us, I mean, surfboards are still hand done. Like I did 4 years ago. I mean, we've got CNC machines now and stuff, but I just think it's consistency for us. And I've got a pretty good sized factory, and we do our boards and a lot of other guys' boards, and just being able to give a good quality product and be consistent at the boards we build.
Yeah, definitely consistency is been a key, and it has been a key for all your life, I guess, right? No matter where you shape surfboard by hands or in the factory, it's against your name, right, and your reputation in the market, isn't it?
Correct. I mean, for us, I started out in the handshake days, and handshake probably 16,000 by hand. And then we were the first on the East Coast to get a CNC machine, simply because I couldn't find a good ghost shaper, to help us out. So the only thing that can replicate me was, a CNC machine. So, we went through that whole stage of, shaping boards and, learning how to convert into the CNC, everything we hand shaped. And, it just made a more consistent me, I guess you could say. So
a very reliable and precise you. Other than you.
I think they're a little, if you give them good stuff, they give you good stuff. If you give them bad stuff, it'll give you bad stuff, So I think that's the one thing, it takes out the imperfections and the blanks. It takes out, some human error. I mean, I know they say it takes the soul out of it, but, it's still building a good, consistent board that somebody comes back and they want that same model. I mean, it's pretty easy to build them that same one. And if I build it bad in the beginning, then they're getting bad, period,
Yeah, yeah. And in your opinion, or with all your experience in shaping, what is the most important thing?
I think probably, again, I'm going to stick with that consistency. I think for me, I went through a lot of, to build good boards, you got to build bad boards. And, we went through a lot of trial and error. And I've got to build some boards for like even Lisa Anderson in the beginning when she was just, she grew up around here. So just learning fin angles and learning how certain rockers work with fins and everything to do with that is getting those recipes right. You're going to have bad ones, and then once you get good ones, and then it's just building upon the good ones to make even better ones. So,
no, I see definitely. I see definitely what you mean. I mean, the shaper should learn from the surfer to adjust those little details that make the surfboard more performing, right? If we talk about competitive surfing, in like normal everyday surfer, is different, right? The details maybe they come
correct.
Close.
Yeah. Well, for me, I started out as a competitive surfer. So, I was actually a competitive swimmer that gave up a career to come. Once I surfed, I couldn't get enough of it. So I walked away from competitive swimming and then ended up being, building boards and then becoming a pro surfer. And so for me, I was sponsored by MTB surfboards at the time. And the guy who was shaping those was going to retire. So I ended up learning to shape. And then, I had some bad boards in the beginning, like everybody, and then slowly just learned how to just, I built some boards and they didn't work, and I go right back in and build more, until I can get them right. And then I worked for Breakaway Surfboards for a while and, got to build a lot of boards with them and get a lot of the bugs out. So when I started shaving, I went into almost production shaping within a couple of years. I was already doing 800 boards a year,
wow.
For these other brands. So I got to get all my bad mistakes out on somebody else's board.
Good. At least, you preserve the best for your own brand, right?
Yeah. I mean, you learn a lot. You think you got these great ideas and then you paddle out on it and it doesn't work. And you get, right back in there. We're shaping another one and going again. So, I mean, from that, so I pushed a lot. And then I had a little pro team and, we did all the ASP events around, Central America and the Caribbean and traveled with them. And then my sons came up and then obviously they become pro surfers. So it's always kept me on that competitive side of building surfboards.
Wow. And you were talking about having ideas, so having ideas on making surfboards, we can call it innovation in a certain way. So where do you stand in terms of innovations today? Is this something that interests you, or is just like you know how to do your things like consistency, like you said before, and you want to keep it this way?
To me, there's a lot of, I mean, you've got some different technologies of building surfboards as far as like the carbons or, like Global or some of those guys have some different stuff. For us, it always seems to come back to that same either a EPS core or the PU core. And that's what we consistently do, over and over. And just, we're more of that custom factory where we can custom PU or we can do stock style boards. So for us, I mean, we play with a little carbon here and there, but in the big picture, we still just build that traditional, PU foam or EPS foam board.
Because it's actually very expensive to innovate, right? When you talk about different materials, they will raise quite a lot the cost of the surfboard, isn't it?
Yes, I think so too, and that's why I think some of the brands on their carbon stuff, it's cheaper to build it overseas, and get the cheaper labor and the cheaper, and they go ahead and do that, and because it's expensive in America to do carbon and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I was talking with Eric Karakawa, and he was telling me, yeah, Alessandro, we work on the innovation, we try to innovate, but we have also to take care of the final price, because a board is already something that is not cheap by definition, but cannot become super expensive. Otherwise, very few people can buy, and there will never be the economy of scale that will allow us to drop the price at the end of the day. So
that's exactly right. Yeah, we're limited in that price range. You've got those few that will spend for that high dollar, but most of the sales are going to be all in that mid-range area, especially in what we do, because we do longboards and everything, but we're known more for that, that performance end with, some of the wider models, some of the fish models. And yeah, it definitely is there's a price of whether you can sell or not sell. And that prohibits us with some of the newer innovative materials of using them.
No, definitely. And who gave you the best advice in terms of shipping surfboards? Let's go back a little bit with the time.
That's actually, I've had a couple guys, that I would single one out. I would say the main influence was a shaper by the name of Robert Strickland, and he was the main shaper at MTV surfboards back in the 80s. And then I've done boards I ghosted for Jeff Bushman out of Hawaii, and he's helped me a lot with the, learning the bigger boards and learning like Sunset Pipeline, the difference between, there, Haleiwa, all the bottoms. And I did his boards for the East Coast over here, along with my boards for quite a while. And then, right now we do all the pine bells for the East Coast here too. So I do my brand and their brand through our factory.
Oh, wow. Wow. You keep yourself very busy.
Yeah.
And so before you were talking about Lisa Anderson, of course, world champion. Being a shaper, there is always a relationship between surfer and shaper, as we said before, to improve. I'm sure you met a lot of surfers in your career. Maybe some of them well known, some of them maybe not known by the public. Was there a meeting that was particularly meaningful for you with one of them?
I would say the one I've met a few. I mean, Kelly is one. He surfs up here. He's friends with my son, so I see him a decent amount. But I would say that probably the coolest meeting I had was I was in Mexico surfing and saw this guy. We were at a beach break and saw a guy down the beach, and there were some pretty good barrels. And this guy was hitting the top where we're trying to just get barrels, and it ended up being Tom Curran.
Oh, wow.
And so it ended up, we paddled down there. There's maybe 6 of us out total at this remote beach break. And ended up talking with him. And, of course, at that time, he was working on being world champion. And, that was probably one of the more memorable times for me. Other than that, I mean, I've met a lot of them through just because of my sons, too. So, but yeah, that one was probably a unique experience, being in the middle of Mexico and meeting him.
Yeah, definitely. You would not expect to find him surfing Mexico waves.
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere, right? And just like it's a great encounter from like one of the major icons. Maybe you will not like him.
Right.
You will not like if I say icon, but one of the major champions in the world of surfing, in modern surfing. So, but good that you had the opportunity to experience an encounter with Tom Curran. It doesn't happen every day.
Right.
And talking about you as a surfer, what was the best wave of your life?
I don't know. I would almost say rifles in Indonesia.
Okay.
Down Kandui. I've caught that wave really, really good.
What do you remember of that wave?
I just remember I was staying there. I was both of my sons were doing boat trips. So I was on one boat trip with my older son doing a Surf Tech Shapers boat trip with him and a bunch of shapers and then a bunch of the surfers. And then I got a friend of mine owned a cabin on that island. So she let me stay in her cabin there. And then for 4 days, I was trapped there and the rifles were as good as it gets for like 3 of the days. And it was reminding me because I surfed Mexico, the southern points of Mexico, way back in the 90s when there was no crowds there. And it just had that reeling right to the regular foot and just really good barrel. That's probably the best there or Barra in Mexico. I would say they're pretty much close to the time.
Okay. I see. That's good. And talking about Orion surfboards, what do you think differentiates your boards from the others? Is the one that are competitive surfboards, pro surfboards, or is there something else?
I mean, we all of us in that, Lost CI, we're all kind of I guess I'm in more their genre of board building versus the longboard guys. But I would just say we just build, the quality's there. I feel we have really good quality and really good consistency on it. If you look at our racks, all our boards of the same model, they all look the same, as far as consistency through. And, of course, we try to make, boards that ride well. And I think it's a matter of, to me, surfboards are a matter of my board might work for you, but might not work for your friends, and it's being able for us as doing custom orders is I have to figure out what each individual, what works for them. Some people might be front-footed, some people might be back-footed. And it's trying to get that where if we have to, we can build you the same model, but build it where it works for you.
Yeah.
So I think, just that personal touch, I think it's easier for me, because since I'm shaping most of the boards, that I can change up certain things to adapt to each surfer.
Okay. No, it's while continuing producing a lot of surfboards, like you said before, still you maintain that kind of customization possible that allow surfer to surf better, right? So I guess
Correct.
That's important.
Yeah, I'd say we're just not cookie cutter models, where we have this model, that model. I mean, I pretty much, if a guy's coming to do a custom with me, I'm going to listen to him and see, okay, this guy might, like I said, you get a lot where this guy's a little more front-footed, this guy's a little more back-footed. Well, you might change up just the way you approach that board for him. You might do a little different wide point or just a little different fin setup. And I think we're more that fine-tuned, because we're not sitting there pumping out the same models over and over, and it's just that's the model you get. I've got two sons, classic example. They each have a model, and neither of them could ride each other's model. So for the younger son, I have to build him a certain way I approach his shortboard, and the older son, I approach his shortboard a little bit different. So, it's just being able to get really customized with individuals. So hopefully, you want them to go out and have fun, catch waves, have fun, and then, that's what keeps your business running.
Yeah. We go back on what we said at the beginning of the interview, right? So catch the wave and have fun. Yeah, most important thing. Okay, we are approaching the end of our interview, but before the end, I have 6 quick questions that I ask everybody on the show. So please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind, okay? We try.
All right.
The best surfboard that you ever ridden?
For me, I ride a 6.0 19 wide 2.3 shortboard.
Okay. That's your favorite of all time.
I try a bunch of different boards just because I like to see what, the difference in ride. So I would say, I gotta have to admit, I was going to the World Juniors with my older son, and I built him some boards, and then I had ordered him some chilies because I'd never been to Narrabee, so I wanted to back him up with boards in case he needed them. And he took some of mine, and I ended up taking one of his because we were almost about the same size at the time. And so one of the chilies was one of the best I'd ever ridden.
Okay. Your favorite shaper of all time? I don't want to get you in trouble.
That is it. That's a solid one, because there's some great shapers on it. So I would say, I don't know, I think who influenced me a lot would probably have been like Al Marin coming up through my younger years.
Yeah, definitely. Legendary figure of shaping and a great man. Your personal question, your favorite song?
Any of the Sojo, the reggae band, any of their songs are good.
Okay, good.
Other than the reggae.
Favorite surf spot?
I'm going to say Barra, Mexico.
Okay, that was good. So we said the shaper. Now I'm asking you the surfer. Favorite surfer of all time?
I'd say Tom Kern.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the last question is a little bit unusual. We ask everybody on this show. I would like to know your best relationship advice.
You have to have communication.
Yes, I agree. Communication is key on everything, not only relationship, right? In friendship, in work,
Exactly.
in shaping surfboards, in everything. So thank you so much, Mr. Greg, for being on the show with me today. And I look forward to talk to you very soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Goodbye. Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!